What's good, folks? It's Frame here with a new Warframe video coming at you with a SARYN build. Now, SARYN's one of my favorite Warframes in the game. I did release a lot of SARYN videos back in the days, and this one is a little bit different because it uses a helmet ability. None of my other SARYNs used a helmet ability, so I decided, you know what, let's actually use one because a lot of people were asking for that. The build is very versatile. It can run any weapon and any focus school. It's down to you. But the survivability and the damage that this build does is all down to her kit and how she utilizes it properly. All right, let's take a look at her ability so you can see how she works. Starting off with Spores, it's an amazing DPS ability. SARYN throws spores on an enemy. They will deal corrosive damage over time, which then spreads to more enemies, scaling to crazy levels. Now, the damage and status chance will scale off power strength, the spread chance of range, and its decay rate of duration. Its base duration is infinite as long as the spores get to spread to more enemies. Now, the thing here I always tell people is to not run SARYN with corrosive projection because it is redundant. There is no point because she already deals corrosive damage and strips enemy armor. The armor strip is capped, and on top of that, the more you spread the spores, the tick rate will increase and strip the enemy armor to the cap. So again, there's no point to run corrosive projection. It is a waste of an aura slot. Run anything else you want, even combat discipline. Moving on to Molt. If you've watched the level 9000 montage, I did remove this ability, but that was a mistake, and I did revert that error. So I put it back on and replaced her fourth instead. We'll get to that. Molt, first of all, is an amazing tool to have in our kit. It cleanses you of status effects, it gives you a speed boost, diverts enemy fire, and when enemies shoot at it and explodes, it deals AoE toxin damage, helping you spread spores even more. Now, coming over to her Toxic Lash. This is an underestimated ability just like her Molt. I'll tell you why. I will pop spores. Now, as you can see, it's dealing damage over time. This will tick up and get to 10 stacks and not go any further, since that's the maximum stacks of corrosive. This will strip their armor to the cap. Now, if I shoot them on the knee or anywhere else, the spores will not spread unless I directly shoot at the spores. Now, you'll see the spores will start to spread. Now, let's take a look when we use spores and her third ability. Activate her third. Pop spores on an enemy. The spores are right there on the bicep and on her shin. Now I'm going to shoot her right thigh. And look at that. It spreads spores everywhere. And this will help you double dip in damage. If you didn't know, her third ability will coat all your weapons with toxin damage. Now, this toxin damage will scale up power strength, and its toxin damage itself will also scale off your weapons damage. But it doesn't work like the other elemental damage bonus augments. This just gives you a coating of toxin damage. It can double dip with faction mods and other sources of damage multipliers. So for a weapon that has no toxin, for example here, let's equip a melee that has no toxin. We're gonna take the hate here, remove all, and we're just gonna put prime pressure point, and let's just put a stance, prime pressure points, and some attack speed. Done. And we can attack them. See, we're doing no damage. We activate our Toxic Lash, and we're dealing toxin damage. Look at that. Now, of course, her miasma is insane. It helps you deal 400% more damage to enemies affected by spores, but the ability falls off in higher levels. So I decided to keep her utility abilities along with her spores, allowing her to deal more damage. Now, I replaced her fourth with Shooting Gallery. Shooting Gallery is Mesa's second ability. You can get this from the helmet system if you subsumed a Mesa. Now, Shooting Gallery will jam enemy weapons every 1.5 seconds. That's 3 enemies every 1.5 seconds. So the more range, the more effective it is, the more duration, the longer it lasts. I'm also using its augment called Muzzle Flash. Now, how does this augment work? Every 6 kills while you are under the effects of Shooting Gallery will deal an AoE blind burst, blinding enemies for a certain duration. Now, this is great when you are taking heavy fire and you just want to sit there, deal crazy amounts of damage with your weapons, and just shred enemies. Go in. Look at that. Since your allies also get the effects of shooting gallery, you can spread the blind affliction even further. It's just broken. Okay, before we take a look at the build, I know you've seen this a lot, and it's the use of the Decaying Dragon Key, Brief Respite in the Aura, and of course the fabled Rolling Guard. These three things are one of the best ways to survive in high level missions. Why? Because lowering your shield percentage, using an ability to get your shields back, and disengaging while invulnerable are one of the best ways to survive, because health and armor does not scale. So this is the only way to survive if you don't have abilities like Mesmer Skin, Iron Skin, Warding Halo, etc, etc. Now, how does shield gating work? If you lose your shields, you will get 1.3 seconds of invulnerability to everything except toxin damage and gas. This toxin damage gas will go straight through your health and obliterate you. That's why in high level missions you want to be very careful of enemy toxin weapons, especially if you're doing an infested endurance or a disruption. When you see enemy toxin weapons, be careful. If someone in your team is using Vazarin, or if you're going in solo, you can use Vazarin. The great thing about this build is that you can run any focus school you want, because there are a bunch of ways to keep up your combo nowadays without the use of Naramon. Right, Brief Respite in the Aura for the energy to shield conversion. Use an ability and get shields back. This is very helpful to reset your shield gate. Prime Sure-Footed, 100% stagger, knockdown resistance. Okay, power strength at 108. We don't need any more than that, but we're getting a lot of range with overextended and stretch. And to counteract the negative power strength, I'm running Augur Secrets and Umbral Intensify. The Augur mod and Brief Respite together is going to give us even more shields. Prime Flow is more than enough. We don't need efficiency. Combine Prime Flow with Energize, and if you're using Xeneric, even better. Great for energy sustainment. Muzzle Flash for the Shooting Gallery Augment, blinding enemies while under the effects of Shooting Gallery. Rolling Guard for the 3 seconds of invulnerability and Status Cleanse. Pair that up with molds, you're not going to be affected with any status effect. Trust me, it's insane. Now let me show you how this build works in a real scenario. All right, let's see how it goes. Pop our spores and just begin killing enemies left and right. You can run the Kuvazar, the Tenet Flux Rifle, whatever weapon you want to use. This just completely decimates every enemy in sight. You want to use Exotic Contagion, you can use that as well. Because what's stopping you? You can run any type of weapon you want. As you can see, enemies are not hitting us. And if we do get hit, we can obviously cast our second ability and reposition ourselves. Now, look, our ability is going to go off. And we're still fine. They attack us, Rolling Guard, cast the second, recast the Shooting Gallery, and we're good to go. And that's how it works. If you want to get build for the Bala, you can always search for my 2 billion damage Wisp nuke or my Bala video, since this is a Bala Zaw. Oh, there he is. All right, affected by spores, 1 contagion, and they're dead. Well, it was 2 contagions, but the second one just finished them off. And don't worry, even if violence gets too close to you, you can keep your distance easily. All right, in terms of weapon, you can use whatever weapon you want. Here, I went with the Phantasma. For the weapons, you can use whatever weapon you want. And here are some of my favorites. Phantasma, you can always replace the Riven with Incendiary Coat. Other weapons, like the Kuvazar, same thing. Riven, run Vigilante Armaments. Easy. And we have the Tenet Flux Rifle, another favorite one of mine. Just replace the Bane for the enemy you're up against. Very easy. And of course, the infamous Mutalist Ceranos. You can always replace the Riven with a Cold mod. And for the melee, you can run any melee you want. But I do suggest to run a Dexterity Arcane on your secondary utility weapon. Dexterity gives you that combo duration. And for your pet, it's always the Panzer Volpaphyla, because the Panzer does not die. Gives you that juicy utility of always keeping up your DPS, stripping some armor if needed, and so on and so forth. All right, guys, this has been it for me. I do hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, feel free to leave a like, share, and subscribe for more Warframe content, streams, and so much more. Do refer to the description. Thanks for watching, and as always, peace.
such a thing. Ooh, can we switch up all the rules and imagine a utopia? Darling, I'm just so fed up with these expectations. They keep weighing me down. My heart is begging me